So the scene is set for Perth by night. This is actually currently in the Third Eye bookstore, which has been rearranged so that there's actually a seat towards one end of the room and a few other seats arranged around the sides, as well as a table directly in front of the main seat with a couple chairs in front of it as well.
So I'm just going to say, if the prince would have been happy with it, Rafat would have checked over the area and possibly made some slight adjustments just for security's sake, make it more difficult for outsiders to see things, and possible assassins, sniper rifles, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that as well as one of his schools would have also worked on that. But he would accept the assistance by Rafat. And he's currently acting as doorman is one of his ghouls, Stacy Keach, who a number of them have met, who's basically just checking the door and letting people in as they come in. If assuming everyone's already here, they've already been checked, and passed through by her. And he's currently sitting at the head of the table and waiting for people to approach him.
Seeing as the only other person to approach is a fledgling of Clan Rentry, although Rafat will acknowledge his presence, he will go forward with his rival. Prince Harris, I have the pleasure to introduce, if you will have him, Jackson S. Archer of Clan Tremere, a neonate in good standing with the clan and the Camarilla, who would like to take up residence in the city.
He turns to Jack and says, does anything in particular bring you to the city?
Opportunities, sir.
Well, I'm sure you'll make a fine addition to the city of Perth. Is there any...
That would be my hoping, sir.
Well, I acknowledge you as a citizen of Perth and look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you.
He turns to Rafat. Is there anything else?
I would like to inform you, as you know, the previous prince has already left the city, but Simeon Musketeers, his loyal servant for some time, has also left. It is, though details are being kept close and I haven't been told all of it, it is an area that's being contested with the Sabbat, so Simeon's skills will be more actively used there than here.
Oh yes, no, I'm sure he will do quite well against the Sabbat.
Thank you, my prince. That aside.
Turns to Donovan, says, I believe I've met you before. Yes. So does anything in particular bring you here, or are you simply presenting yourself to the new prince?
Simply presenting myself, my prince. Matt Donovan, fledgling of Clan Went Through.
Is there any particular reason you remain a fledgling?
It's some difficulties with my sire's final death.
And your sire was?
Out of character, I totally forgot already.
1 second, I'll check it up for you. I've got the blue book open. I'll just check yours. Should be down your.
I think it's in the last one of my post. In the top post.
I'm trying to find him.
Stephens.
Matt Donovan. Stevens. Yeah. Okay. God damn it.
Henry
I can't
Stevens.
find exactly what you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the suspense.
Yeah. Yes, my father, Henry Stevens, and his sire was Charlotte Cutter. I'm from Boston, England.
So you. I see. So well, as your sire is well dead, I must ask: do you at least understand the traditions?
Yes, I was tutored to become embraced for many years, but with the close proximity of my embrace and the destruction of my sire by the Sabbath, the prince of the city still in my hometown recognized me as released, but I was unable to gain status due to the old enemies of my father.
Oh, what skills do you bring to the city?
Well, of course, with the financial knowledge of the Ventru, I'm also a investigator and, well, cover-up person of masquerade breaches.
Oh, that is a useful set of skills to have. How long were you a ghoul?
30 years.
30 years. And how long have you been embraced?
20.
20. At that point, I think it's safe to say, at least in my eyes, you do qualify as a neonate. And as such, you'll have, all of the rights and duties that being a neonate entails. So that said, well, I hope to see you around more often, and hopefully you will show yourself worthy of the of your new rank.
Donovan will give a very deep bow. Thank you, my prince. It has been a long time since I've had a fresh thought in a place with no prejudice.
Well, I cannot say that there is truly no prejudice anywhere, but
Well,
but I understand your meaning.
Yeah.
And
Thank you once more.
well, it seems that with many of the recent issues your clan has gone through, at least most of the perpetrators have, well, met their ends one way or another.
Yes.
Um, hmm. He then turns to Rafat. It's like, you were, I think, closer to the former prince than anyone else. Is there any business that he's left untended that I was not previously aware of?
No, I do believe he had an eye towards our new neonate here, gaining such a position, but was really off. And I have heard of your aid in the final segments of dealing with the corruption that had taken a hold of the enforcers. As for untended to duties, there are areas where the city needs more influence held. And if this young neonate skills lie towards finance for the good of the court, I think If we leave him focused on where his skills lie, it will benefit him and the city greatly.
Yes. There are one or two changes that I'll be honest, I'd meant to speak on them at the Primogen Council, but things got slightly distracting there. Among them, I don't think that we should straitjacket each clan into only having certain areas of influence.
There was perhaps not as much clarity as was needed at the time when the previous prince said such things. They were guidelines to be encouraged and rewarded, not straitjackets. As you saw, he never reprimanded anyone for going to areas that interested them.
I think, though, it might be a slightly better way to handle it to let each clan focus on their strengths, and then let the members of the clan tell their primogen of what areas they are strong in that they're willing to help to use to help the city of Perth, and the primogen can then forward that on to me. That way, if I sit there and go, we have a problem dealing with the police or with infrastructure, I can go, this clan has a number of people who have gifts in that area who are connected.
Actually, there is a task that perhaps you might encourage just in mind. There are obviously two areas which have previously been given interest in towards being made in Elysium. Well, three, but as you made clear about the trench, it's a area of socializing of a different kind.
Yes.
But I believe that the Crown of Perth previously had some workings, although it has perhaps might be not terribly comfortable for all of the court, but previously has begun by the Count and continued on by Halliwell. Young Mr. Donovan might cooperate, perhaps try and do a report of his own findings, give you a fresh perspective on the advantages and disadvantages of both locations, so that at the next Primogen Council meeting we can pick the Elysium, the first permanent one, at least.
Yes. Having a permanent Elysium is always nice, and the fact that evidently the elder of your clan that's visiting is willing to guard it against other unwanted types we might want in there was quite useful.
A very useful asset as well will be the fact that, for example, your clan is also skilled as my own is in the discipline of Auspex, and I know you are more advanced along that particular path than myself, but the kind of enhancements he will be putting down, for example, if somebody tried to astrally project themselves into the area, would find more resistance than usual. I believe you've come across this before.
I have. And yes, that would be a useful sort of ward to have. So, at the moment, I think not everyone has necessarily heard it. Is there anything anyone wishes to bring forward? Well, I wait for at least one other person I'm expecting.
That other person might be 20 minutes, so...
Yeah, I know.
Jack will step forward and again kind of nod in Prince Harris's direction. I'd like to avail myself, if possible, to the service of the court.
Well, in what capacity?
In my mortal existence, I was extremely talented with the areas of computers and surveillance.
Well, we hadn't had a full chance to talk, Mr. Archer. I would think, well, there's obviously several applications, but the Sheriff Services Fiend has no small amount of muscle himself, but perhaps Mr. Archer, well, might make a good hound, but there's certainly other uses of such a broad skill.
Yes. Oh, it reminds me. Do we currently have did we have a scourge?
The name was not known to the general court. If we did, I would be surprised if we didn't.
Right. Well.
It's not known to me. They may make themselves known, or not.
Yes.
Or, given the recent fatalities,
Might have died. Yes. Wonderful. Well, I think. Well, not that I plan on abdicating anytime soon, but in case anything along those lines does happen, I think at the very least I will. Once I determine a scourge, make his identity known at least to the Primogen Council.
That said, some princes, it is rumored, have two scourges. One who is known who usher along people, and the other who, well,
Less known.
less known, all the better to do their work. One who's more sort of a boogeyman, to scare them in the right direction, make sure they present themselves, and the other just, well, it leaves the kindred of the court wondering, especially those who have something to hide, who exactly could be the scourge that will come for them if they turn against the court.
Ironically, if it weren't for his other failures and the fact that he's met his final death, the Gaki might have done very well in that position. Oh well.
That said, I do know, I've heard, it's not a position held in the Cameron, and certainly wouldn't want to hold. There is a position in Anarchy, it seems curious. It's similar to a scourge, except for they partake in no violence. Someone whose job it is to identify the comings and goings of kindred in the city. Doing some surprise. They don't necessarily engage with them or necessarily even speak with them, but they identify if they've arrived and potentially monitor them from afar, see what they can discover about them, any disciplines and such. But that perhaps for a city with our current population, not necessarily as needed.
Right. Well, such a given certain other things, such a person would actually seem to be useful, given that we've found a few, in the past, found a few kindred practically under our noses. Which reminds me I need to speak to the Harbinger at some point. Now that I've actually become Prince, my point of view on him has necessarily changed. But I still think he can make a useful addition to the city. We'll just have to clear a few things first. Donovan, a moment of your time. You say you are an investigator?
Of sorts.
What sorts of things do you investigate?
Well, mostly crime scenes and the like.
So more of a forensic investigator.
Yes, in the terms of Masquerade, I try to make it look more natural and such. If push comes to shove in our world.
Well, in that case, if you are seeking some position, you may wish to, at some point, speak to our sheriff, since, among other things, dealing with breaches of the Masquerade does fall under his purview, I believe. So, someone who can aid against such breaches is quite useful.
Well, I am myself trying to get more influence in the city in the form of some cleaning companies, as they are more in the down low, but gives access to different kinds of areas that are easy to,
Hmm.
well, hotels and such, with the unfortunate example of the enforcer situation. The person in question was hiding in a hotel, and, well, as you said, in kinda under our noses.
No, I can see your line of reasoning there. I doubt it would have worked in that particular case, but
But simply to have a sight of an eye to have a chance of catching such individuals.
well, you'll have effectively eyes on those who are regularly unseen.
Hmm.
Did you have something to mention, Rafat?
It was just, I don't think we, unfortunately in that particular case, it was a recognized coterie in a recognized domain that was usurped, so we couldn't all go traipsing around there. But as previously, I think it been mentioned that perhaps we will have to make sure that people link in with their primage on a regular basis, or at least a member of a coterie must present themselves, even if things are getting quiet and if they want their privacy, that's fine, but we can't allow such things to be repeated. It was an unusual circumstance, but not necessarily unique.
No, and definitely something to be avoided in the future. Well, I don't think he's coming anytime soon, so I'll just try and catch up with him later. But yes, if anyone wishes to speak with me in the next couple of nights, I've set up an impromptu court here in the bookstore. And so I'll simply be here waiting as needed.
I will say, if for your... There are obviously several other good locations, and if you do want to go to him, that's the difference. But when you're meeting with our visitor, if you want to use the trench, of course, I'll be happy to make myself available. You know the reasonable level of security we have there and in the domain.
Yes. And we'll also have to talk later in private about a few things, Rafat. A few things that the Archon pointed out to me that, well, unfortunately, will have to be dealt with, but I doubt it will cause any real problems.
As you wish, my prince.
Yes, so for now, unless there's any further business.
Not this time, my prince.
All right. And I'll end scene.